In life, you meet people who make a difference in it, whether they're a friend or a significant other, but anything can happen at any time, so cherish what you have while you have it. Morning Love by Celeste LeBeau. This morning, on my way to work, I was driving by a cemetery and they were having graveside services. Nothing unusual so far, right? But here's the thing, there were only 2 people there. I figured one of them had to be a minister, so that left only one person to mourn for the dearly departed. One person at a funeral? It's sad enough when someone dies, but it's equally sad when no one cares. Driving down the road, I had an epiphany. I've decided that on my days off, I'll attend funerals. Okay, attending funerals might not sound normal to the average person, but for a single girl with no social life, I figure it will at least get me out of the house. After work today, I stopped by a newsstand and got the daily paper. There were 14 people listed in the obituaries, and 4 of them had a funeral on my day off. My choices are Morgan Freeman, a retired insurance salesman, not the actor, Sally Kensington, a salon stylist. Don't you know she'd be picky for who does her hair for the funeral? Dylan Moore, age 6. I don't think I could attend the funeral of a child so young. And Carl Stort, survived by 3 grandchildren. Well, it seems my choice is made. Carl Stort, I'll see you on Thursday. The funeral was very moving today. There were a lot of people in attendance. It seems that Mr. Stewart was a very active man. I couldn't be sure, but it seemed like all 3 of his grandchildren were there as well. There were lots of tears, dozens of beautiful flower arrangements, and 4 people that I had never met hugged me. Today, I went to the funeral of a woman who once designed perfume in Paris. She designed perfumes worn by many of the famous, glamorous women around the world. Everyone there seemed to be very aware that I didn't belong, but each time someone looked or stared at me, I just bowed my head in mourning, said a little prayer for her, then looked up and admired all of the pink roses. I kept thinking to myself, she's probably looking down on all of us right now and thinking, who is that girl wearing that awful knockoff white diamonds by Elizabeth Taylor? I may not go to a funeral tomorrow. It's supposed to thunderstorm and I've been battling a cold. I'll wait until the morning to make my decision. Even though I'm not 100% well, I decided to go to the funeral of a Mr. Earl Watkins. I decided that getting out might make me feel better, and it did. I got to the service just after it started, so I had to take a seat on the last row. Like I said, I still wasn't 100% and my nose was running, so all in all, I definitely looked like I belonged there. As I was trying to quietly blow my nose, the man next to me leaned over and asked if I was one of Mr. Watkins' former students. I looked at him, not knowing what to say, and said, yes, I was. He asked how long ago. I said, I was his student 5 years ago. He then whispered in my ear, liar. Mr. Watkins retired 11 years ago. Caught, I just turned my face straight ahead, listened to the eulogies, and as is customary for me, said a prayer for the dearly departed. After Mr. Watkins' funeral was over, I headed straight to my car, only to be followed by, you guessed it, Mr. Sherlock Holmes himself. How did you know him? He asks. I decided to tell the truth. I didn't. I said, I go to funerals on my days off. It's what I do, it's who I am, okay? Now he's the one not knowing what to say. But like all men, he finds something to say quickly. Mr. Watkins would have really liked you. Well, it seems that a group of Mr. Watkins' students were getting together for a little reunion of sorts, and would I like to go? Having no chalkboards to clean, I said, fine. I met Bill, that's his name, at a restaurant along with about a dozen of Mr. Watkins' prodigies. What a teacher he must have been. Everyone took turns telling his or her favorite Mr. Watkins' memory. And then everyone just stared at me. I was aware that I had to say something, so I looked at all of them and said, as confidently as I could, "Tuesdays with Maury, hello." Everyone just sort of nodded. Then it was time to pay the bill. I've met Bill twice a week for the past 2 months. On our third date, Bill asked me for a favor. He wants me to stop going to funerals. He said there's too much living to do. He made me promise. I told him, okay, from now on, I'll only go to funerals of people that I know. Okay, I lied to him, but it's only because I think he's lying to me as well. I mean, come on. We see each other twice a week. He can call me, but I can't call him. Oh, and when we do see each other, it always seems to be in a dark, secluded place. He's probably seeing other women, or worse, he's married. I've asked him. Oh yeah, I came right out and asked him, and do you know what he told me? He said the reason he only sees me twice a week is because when he's not working or seeing me, he spends all of his free time with his mother, who, according to him, is very ill. I asked about going with him to visit his mother. He said she doesn't feel well enough to have visitors, but that I could see her when the time is right. Don't you just hate it when someone has all the correct answers? Okay, I'm confused. This is the first time Bill has stood me up. I'll forgive him, of course. I just hope everything's all right with his mother. I was really looking forward to our date tonight, too. Because tomorrow I'm off work. I thought, great. I won't have to worry about how late we stay out, and I can sleep in until I feel like getting up in the morning. Oh, it's all for the best, I'm sure. I don't know what to say, actually. I got up this morning, went out to get a paper, looked in the obituaries, and chose a funeral to attend. It was the funeral of a Mr. William Smith. The second I stepped into the sanctuary, I saw him. It was Bill. The reason I hadn't heard from Bill is that he died. It was a heart attack. Well, I, for one, am glad I broke my promise to Bill. If I had stopped going to funerals, I would have never known that Bill died. I would have never gotten the chance to say goodbye. There was a frail woman sitting in a wheelchair on the front row. I could only assume it was Bill's mother. I'm sure Bill would agree. The time was finally right to meet her.